Hey folks, and welcome to the newest rugby show on the block, covering all things rugby, not only in America, but around the world. It's The Point Taken, starring the one and only Pat Clifton, the most informed and probably loudest voice in American rugby. Pat, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, sure, that sounds fair.
That's fair. We've got JP, James Patto Patterson, joining us, the face of Major League Rugby, the absolute dame of the sidelines, the Duke, of the sidelines. JP, welcome.
Thanks, mate.
And of course, myself, Dan Power, aka the Panther. And we are going to discuss all things rugby with more of a Major League Rugby theme to it. We're going to go deep. We're going to get dirty. We're going to be open. We're going to be a little bit brash at times, but we're going to have some fun doing it. What do you say, boys?
Well, you made a lot of promises there. I hope I can deliver on them.
I think you got the brash part taken care of for us, and that's why I guess you're called the mouth.
Look, guys, I'm maturing and mellowing with my old age. I'm in my mid-30s now. I'm basically a Buddhist Zen kind of guy. I'm going to be really mellow. I don't anticipate very many hot takes.
Hey, give us your thoughts on college rugby in America, Pat. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Straight away.
I'm Pedro Serrano in Major League 2, not Major League 1.
He comes back at the end, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, hey, you never know what happens. It's a long season. We'll see.
It is. Patto, for you, what's going on? Big news, you stepped down. No more sidelines for James Patterson this year.
It just wasn't the same without the voice of Major League Rugby dictating me, telling me where to stand, where to look, how to look, telling me where to Cole Hand shoes, maybe some Lulu pants.
It's good to think. Brian Hightower was an influential guy. I don't know if he wore Cole Haans, though, but yeah.
Speaking of dress, did you guys get dressed in the same closet tonight?
Okay.
We came out of the same closet.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's true. In fairness, Pat, I got dressed first and went and picked James up. He saw me and changed into that.
Ran back upstairs. He came down and then he ran right back up.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. So appreciate, though. I'll be interested to see next week on the show what you whether you're matching up. We can go all three turtlenecks.
We're all going to do the Steve Jobs look. I'll see what I can do.
What do you reckon? We'll get some chatter online. Maybe we could actually do, was it the Microsoft launch? We're up on stage dancing. That was Bill Gates. It was Microsoft, wasn't it?
Yeah, we could also take the Walmart approach. Maybe come up with a dance. We could do it, or a chant at every...
Yeah, I think what would be more interesting is the fact that this show is coming to you live. So you have full discretion as viewers to dictate what Pat wears during the show. And we have a massive wardrobe and makeup department outside. So make sure you tune in during the show. If you'd like to see Dad, if you'd like to see Pat in a nice number, then just shoot in.
Yep, absolutely.
We saw some of the great outfits in our open for tonight's show. That's just a small sample of Gnarly Hustle, isn't it?
That's
Shout
it.
out to our good friends at Gnarly Hustle. Give them a plug, Pat. Where are they at?
Right here at 6317 Raytown Road, Kansas City, Missouri. You ever coming on through? You want some vintage clothing? Stop on by.
Bangers on hangers, folks. We know Billy Meeks at the LA Giltinis. That's kind of a path he's going down.
Oh, he's a vintage guy, huh?
Yeah, maybe we can do a collab. Meeksy, hit me up on Instagram, buddy. We can get a collab with Gnarly Hustle before the season starts.
100%.
All right.
Yep.
Well, let's get into it, guys. What do you reckon? First segment. What should we do? Should we do a little burners?
You want to go burners straight away?
That's it. It's one of the great mysteries, isn't it? And you've been in this space for a long, long time, but one of the great mysteries of social media is, who is that?
Yeah.
And we have actually contacted some of the smartest minds in America. None of them called us back. So we went down and invented this themselves. We have an algorithm that we've built into the computer that will identify burner accounts on social media. JP, start us off with the first hot take post on social media, and we'll put it into the computer.
I think I'm going to go deep here. I've got to go really, really deep into the archives to find this. And this one probably is a little bit closer to home for some of us as we find it here, just outputting. The computer's going through a lot of them right now. All right, here we go. Scalding hot take. We're going to start with a hot take.
Is that like a scolding hot take?
Scalding, like Spalding.
Yep.
Okay.
You'll get nothing like it.
As much as people complain about the league and the skill level, I think it's comparable to the Curry Cup and the Japan League. The problem is, in fact, that the broadcast quality is just straight up amateur for 90% of the matches.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah. Do I have to take this one because I'm the only one who's never been a part of the broadcast?
I think so. Why don't you put this into the system? And computing?
I'm going to take this one as I've got two scorned former. I think it might be in the room. I think it's Colonel Mustard in the podcast studio with a microphone. It's both of you.
You found my candlestick. It was us. We're guilty. Scorned lovers of Major League Rugby. No longer the go-to guys on the sideline and in the box. But no, that's a good one. What's the next one, JP?
Here we go. Coming at you. We got another one here. And this one's a little bit more close to home for some people. It says, coming from a former player, Nate was one of the worst coaches I've ever had and one with a drinking problem. Onward and upwards for the boys at NOLA. Rugby 2-4.
Ooh, here, quickly. Let's quickly work the magic on this one. Spinning. And who have we got? Oh, current head coach Kane Thompson. Oh, didn't even give time for the corpse to get cold and the daggers went in.
Oh,
Tomo, that's cold-blooded.
That's very cold-blooded.
All right, last one, JP. Last one.
Here we go. So we're going to talk about the very last one. Oh, this one. There was actually a really long thread, huge signing, Hunko Hermeses. Okay, going to the Guiltinis, just reading through the forum, talking about him, being a player that's scared, underperformed at the top level, jumped around a lot of teams in Major League Rugby. Yep. Does he have an attitude problem? And then you've got, possibly another player in the league saying he's undersized for an international back row. Maybe Matt Heaton could be that might be
number 7.
Yeah, could be a burner account.
Yeah.
And then LA Pasty. All right, all it finishes is good signing. Okay, let's put it into the system.
Here we go. Just punch that one in again. There we go. And spinning, and it is Hunko Hermeses himself giving himself a wrap there. LA Pasty, he is fairly light skinned. I wonder if he's got paid. Him and Ben Lesage may get paid half in SPF, half in Gilly dollars as well.
I think that counts as body shaming, and I'm not here for it.
That's true. Well, I can't really talk.
You look pretty pasty yourself right here, mister.
Yeah. Those in the Midwest winters caught me. I'm not that fortunate. All right, that's some good stuff. We're going to take some feedback on the burner accounts. If you get a hot take that you see on social media, Twitter, Instagram, where was it, Reddit, wherever you guys are looking on Instagram or posting and you see a hot take that you want revealed, send it into the show. We'll put it into the computer and we'll reveal all the burner accounts on social media over the next coming weeks, months, years, however long this thing goes for. All right, up next, my favorite segment, not the MLR news. It's the hot takes that MLR, the pundits, the journalists, they're scared to touch, but not our very own Pat Clifton. Jump in. Both feet, buddy.
Guys, hot off the presses, I've got some breaking news here. All right. This first headline comes from Houston. The hard up Houston SaberCats signed viral sensation Alfie to play prop. I don't know if you noticed, but some of the South Africans have not yet been shipped in, and they went and signed 3 props off of the waiver wire this week. Getting a little desperate, they went ahead and signed the chubby youngster from England who's getting a lot of attention on Twitter.
Good for Alfie, though. I don't know if people aren't aware of that. He copped some flack on social media about his size, playing age grade rugby in the UK. You guys can go suck it, no matter what your size. And that's why rugby is the greatest sport. All shapes and sizes are played. Keep plodding along, Alfie. Love it, brother. And hopefully one day you are at the Houston SaberCats for real and we can get Alfie legit onto the show.
The one-man mall, Alfie.
I love it.
This one's coming out of New Orleans. Super Bowl winning former New Orleans Saints head coach Sean Payton is headed to Dallas. No, not to play for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, but to the Dallas Jackals to fill the void left over by the visa not coming in for Michael Hodge. So that's right. Sean Payton out with the Saints, in with the Dallas Jackals. What do you think of the move?
I love it. Our very own Ted Lasso experiment. American football to soccer was Lasso. Now we have Payton, American football to rugby. I wonder if Drew Brees can that shoulder last one season for the Jackals, JP?
Throw him into playmaker. I mean, let's just talk about that. Hypothetically speaking, across the NFL, if you had to pick one coach to plug them in to be your Ted Lasso, who is it?
I'd go Sean Payton. I think the bounty system's really going to work with the MLR salary cap. You slide a few extra bones. I think you could get you could buy a few late hits around the league.
Oh, there'd be some great tackles, wouldn't there, with that? Especially the bones that the Saints are paying for Bounty Gate as well.
You stuck a couple hundreds in Calvin Gentry's back pocket. I think he's going to take a couple pot shots at the scrum half.
I'll go Sean McVay. I reckon McVay could be a good coach for rugby.
What's the equivalent of going for it on every fourth down with Brandon Staley and the San Diego Chargers?
Not kicking out of your 22.
Yeah, just tap and go.
Just run it.
Tap and go.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Well, there you go. That's who we go. And then your final headline coming out of New York. Rugby United New York announces it will play its home games for the 2022 season, not in Hoboken, New Jersey, but on the ferry to Hoboken. So they said they teased it that you can see the Statue of Liberty from the pitch. You can. It's actually on the ferry. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fantastic. Probably their best venue yet, I'd say.
And they could actually turn the ferry at halftime, so they get to use the wind both halves. Home field advantage at its best. I love it, Pat. I love it. I thought they were going to end up at the Walmart Hoboken because if anything's an upgrade from Cochrane Stadium. after last year.
That's
what
right.
a disgrace.
So that's the not MLR news, guys. I've also prepared a little bit of a monologue. We've got some major news in Major League Rugby. Let's get a little bit serious. The most impactful news, real news of the MLR offseason wasn't delayed expansion into Dallas or the signing of Heineke Meyer as director of rugby for the Houston SaberCats or even the unretirement of Matt Giteau, but rather the transition of majority ownership in Rugby ATL. Rugby ATL founder, owner, and renowned rugby man Marcus Calloway lost his battle with cancer in December at the age of 72. His death set to leave a void in ownership in Atlanta. The family was fielding multiple offers from multiple suitors before settling with Global Rugby Ventures, the venture capital firm headed up by the New England Free Jacks founder Eric Anderson. GRV, of which Free Jacks CEO and GM Alex Magleby serves as VP of Rugby Operations, reportedly owns a minority stake in at least 4 franchises as of last May. And by buying the majority stake in Atlanta, Anderson now controls 2 team votes outright in the East, with at least some stakeholder influence in 2 others. That puts him in direct opposition of Adam Gilchrist, the flamboyantly wealthy owner of the LA Giltinis and Austin Gilgronis. Gents, does that make Anderson versus Gilchrist the most significant and real rivalry in Major League Rugby?
JP, I'll let you go first on this one.
It does. But essentially, if you look, let's boil it down to what this league needs. And we've talked about this kind of, there's been the naysayers that have said, there's going to be a struggle with Major League Rugby. Is it going to stick around? Well, of course it is, because you've got guys like this that are stepping up to the plate. I don't have a problem. People are going to say there's issues with one owner providing liquidity for multiple teams or owning multiple stakes in teams across the league. No, I just think it means these guys are highly successful business people and they understand what it takes to get it across the finish line, and they're willing to put their money where their mouth is and do it. And I think it's for the betterment of the league in general.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to actually use a wrestling reference. Wrestling was at its height at the Monday Night Wars, WCW versus WWF. Now, we don't have 2 rival fractions in companies, but we have 2 rival fractions in terms of Anderson versus Gilchrist here. And I don't even know if it's a war in their opinion or an arms race in their opinion. Who knows what it is? We'd have to get them on the show to say, hey, yeah, I'm trying to scoop up as much as I can to have as much power as I can. But MLS did it. I mean, look no further than here in Kansas City. The Chiefs' ownership were big parts. The Hunts were a huge part of MLS, and they own multiple franchises, as did, I believe, the Anschwitz as well, right, out of Colorado. So it's not unusual. I mean, is it ideal? Probably not long-term, and it won't. I don't anticipate being a long-term thing. I don't think Anderson or Gilchrist, for that matter, will hold on to numerous teams. Eventually, as the league grows and has more financial contributions from the outside into the league that then generates the ownership, the other owners are going to be like, oh, something's got to give here, and it will, and they'll sell, and I'm sure they'll sell what I would anticipate a handsome profit as well, which is business, right? That's part of business. So I don't have an issue with it. There's still enough teams. I mean, that's 2 votes, yep, but there's 13 teams. So overall, you still got 9 votes floating. I get with the Anderson with the 2 other investments, there could be a little influence there, which definitely makes him the most powerful man at the moment. But I'm all for it. I'm okay with it. The alternate, Pat, Atlanta doesn't exist anymore, and to not have a team in that city would be a travesty.
I think it's interesting that there were multiple suitors. So that means that there was maybe potentially some outside money who wanted to come in, and it was the inside money that got it. But I think it's really interesting because, I mean, Gilchrist was the most powerful personality in this league. If he ignores a salary cap, is there a salary cap? So like having somebody else in the league who maybe takes a different philosophy to some certain things, who has at least as much power as him, I think is interesting, because I think last year everybody said Adam Gilchrist was the most powerful man in Major League Rugby. I don't know that that's true anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure when the bell rung that morning with Marky Mark and F45 went public.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if Major League Rugby was on his radar as much as maybe it was before that moment.
Sure.
But I'd still say, yeah, that's a tough one. Who is the most powerful man?
What are you trying to say, that inside running got the spot? Do you have an inside scoop somewhere else that somebody else, there was
I don't know for sure.
Parity there?
I've heard there are multiple entities, 3 entities. I don't know the groups intimately, so they could not have, it could have been that none of them were outside money, but it could have been that they were too.
I know internationally there's a lot of interest in investment in the league and in teams. Was it a domestic bid or an international bid? Because obviously there's a lot more that would go into an international bid in terms of creating an entity in the US to do business if you're an international, whether a business person or VC group.
The best news is that there's competition, that people want a part of this league and that they want it and they see the opportunity there and they want to grab as much of it as they can. That's the best news. This league is here to stay. I, been watching it from Jump Street and was skeptical, and we passed the tipping point, I think, before last season. All right, there's enough deep pockets, and it's great to see that there's, when there's a little chum in the water, that there's sharks fighting over it.
Yeah.
Then you got teams coming in. So that's just going to dilute, his vote at that stage. So the league is not going to stop here. So this is a one year thing. We've heard potentially more teams coming in next year and the year after. And then that's a good signal to other owners or other investment that they see these people have that much faith in the league that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is.
100%.
Yeah, I agree. And I think after this year is my tipping point. So I know you kind of feel like you got there. I think this year is the tipping point. There's more dollar-paying sponsors in the league in 2022 than there's ever been. Coming out the back, I hope we're at the back of a global pandemic. I don't really want to do another year of this. But if that is the case, and the economy is what it is, the fact that there is an increase in sponsorship money coming into the league, I think this is the year that it goes onwards and upwards. The TV dollars is the last big piece of the puzzle for me, JP.
And it's a big piece.
Huge piece.
But I think what they're doing this year, and they're announcing the broadcast partners, is getting it in front of people. You can't have a product and get sponsorship unless you have eyeballs. So they had to be able to produce a product and get enough engagement from the fan base where they could justify to a network to put it out there. And I think this year's deal is just going to be the catalyst that allows sponsors to say, look, we're going to get in front of eyeballs. Look at the work. It's not only about what happens on the telly or the tube, because we know that there's a lot of stuff that happens on social media now and online, and look at the effort that the teams are putting into social media. It's some of the better content you get. Like I follow NFL teams, NBA teams.
100%.
What are the Rugby Network doing? I mean, I want to know who creates the memes for the Rugby Network.
They're doing great.
I want to hire them to do all the memes for all the businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I love the Rugby Network's fantastic. Rugby Pass is a great business. They're the ones who are behind it. I think it's interesting because, to your point, I think the reason you're acquiring Major League Rugby rights isn't just for the television. It's not for the over the top. It's not just for linear TV. It's for what you're going to put on Peacock or what you're going to put on Paramount Plus or what you're, what I mean? That's really where the value is, I think, to get that recurring revenue, whether it's through a cable stream or through cutting the cord. And then you run into a direct opposition of the league's own OTT platform. So, but I think they would happily take a great big deal that was linear and a combo digital if it meant a little less live coverage on the Rugby Network.
Oh, 100%. For what the investment was to get that up and running to what, like an NBC, a Fox, a CBS, or ESPN, Disney, I guess, would pay. And we are in the middle of the streaming wars right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that they have to be very conscientious of, is that television as we knew it growing up is probably never going to exist in the same way. Like people huddled around watching the Wonder Years, on a Monday early evening. Just not going to happen anymore.
I got it in the other room on DVD. I went on a huge DVD shopping spree the other day.
Yeah.
So you can also get that at Gnarly Hustle Billy Meeks if you still got your DVD player. That's pretty great for like road trips, a portable DVD player.
We have one on the car that flops down. And,
yeah,
it's good. It's good. We've digressed, though.
We sure did. Well, let me ask you guys this, because, I'm the American guy on the, and, that's kind of my shtick here. But what do you think of the makeup of Major League Rugby? And you guys are two American guys who have accents, right? But you're Eagles. You've represented the national teams. What were they telling you? Are you not American enough? Are you too American? Are they trying to get more American? Or does that even register when you're talking to the directors? What did you guys hear from internally? What do you think were the improvement points that could be made?
Oh, for the television?
Yeah. Because that's how we started on this. At one point we were talking about broadcast.
Yeah, we have burner accounts with James and I.
Yeah.
And, I don't think it's a problem. Maybe this is a little selfish because I enjoyed doing it, but I work for a Fortune 500 company, very, very big company, global company. And a conversation I had with one of our global heads of marketing was that Americans are more drawn to an accent than an American accent. So when we do our promotional, it's always actually an English guy. He's like, hello and welcome to and the data they had and the research they had, which is millions and millions of dollars of research they put into this, is the attention span when there was an accent was 3 times as long as when there's not.
Oh, really?
I don't have a problem. And then this is
what if it's 300 miles an hour faster than everybody else is and incredibly high pitched?
Then you're in trouble.
Okay.
But I think there has to be a balance, right? We can't have a product that goes on television that is someone confused calling the game.
Yeah.
And on the same side, it has to feel somewhat familiar to an audience that maybe we're not going to get that flicking through audience as much as we would have a couple of years ago, Pat. So now we've got to draw them in. So how do you draw them in? It has to be familiar in quality, number of cameras to what I see. If I watch the NFL, I don't want to come back and watch, zoomed in cameras that I can see the pause on Aaron Smith's crutch. I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
Like, film it the way other sports do it. Be respectful to rugby and its history and how you film it, but have that dynamic quality picture that you've come accustomed to with NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, all that as well. And the access. Access is going to be huge. And that's the thing that's the advantage rugby has over those sports is we still have access to players where it's quite guarded in the NFL.
That's right. They're not just showing up so they don't get fined. They're showing up because they love the camera. It's half the reason they're there.
And we not to get on my soapbox, but for the players, we need more from you. Don't be this boring, generic kind of, just did it for the boys, team effort, and
strap on a Speedo, get on a moped, and get out there.
That's what we need. That's what we need. We do. We need to be different. We need to be the crazy kid. We need to be the Paul Pfeiffer from the Wonder Years who becomes Marilyn Manson. That's not true. That's but that's what we need. We need to be a little quirky, and that's what I go back to wrestling. Its popularity. It was these crazy characters and these crazy storylines, but you couldn't believe it. So you watch it the next week. We can't go that. We can't have like, he slept with his sister and they're playing each other this week. What are you going to do about it? No, we don't have to go that crazy, but like build it up. Let's create some rivalries and some tension.
We can.
So who are they? Give me the 5 players that are the most influential or have the biggest personalities in Major League Rugby.
Danny Barrett, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, if we're talking wrestling.
You're going to jump on the Danny Barrett bandwagon again.
The Dan wagon. Now we branded it. I'm jumping on the Dan wagon and I'm driving it all the way home.
Get the graphic of Danny Barrett in the back of a flying red wagon. Let's throw it up there.
Yeah, 100%.
The Dan wagon.
The dude's just, he's got a million viral moments from the Sevens World Series where he'd run over a dude, put his shoulder back in place, get up and run over another one. He was a fantastic 15s player. People forget it because he hasn't done it in a million years. But he'd be the starting number 8 year after year, without question for the Eagles if he committed to 15s. It's just, does he have any juice left? How can he stay healthy? And how many minutes is he going to play? Really, in fitness is what it comes down to me for it. But the guy has all the personality in the world. Get a camera and a mic in front of him, and let's see what he does.
I agree.
I love the face, the color that changes in his face when he talks about Danny Barrett.
I'm getting flush, okay? Blood rushes to certain parts of the body when we start having these conversations.
I've got a man crush mountain too, Pat. Don't worry.
What, Brad Tucker? He's...
I don't think that, honestly, and you and I know this because we've done our research into this, the American audience isn't drawn to the Matt Gittos and the Adam Ashley Coopers. They actually don't care.
They're like the Chris Bowman.
That's right. We need to get in the RV with Chris Bowman. The San Diego Legion have any fucking sense, they're going to put cameras in and around his RV, and he will have a weekly fucking internet show in the RV.
Who was the NFL commentator who wouldn't fly? And it was
John Madden.
And the bus everywhere.
Yeah.
We need the Bowman bus, and he doesn't fly to games. You just set up the camera and you get the musings. But what James and I, we did some pretty deep research into this. They are more drawn to a homegrown hero. Like they want someone they can relate to.
You don't say.
If you're like, give me the San Diego kid, give me the guy that, I can relate to and all that sort of stuff. And that's who we need to push. We don't worry. Listen, we need the foreign players. I get that. That's, all leagues around the world have their mercenaries for the most part. But let's market the guy who's going to be here year after year. And so we don't end up with situations like in New England where a bunch of American guys retire because it's not worth it anymore. Let's make it worth it for them. Like, it doesn't have to be financial. It can be like, hey, build my brand, build my profile, help me out with this, help me out with that. Some side things, ambassador roles, things to make life a little easier. And those are the guys. So that's Danny Barrett's perfect. What's not to love about Bam Bam Barrett? Like, you can get behind a guy like that. For me, it's Connor Mooneyham. Love Connor Mooneyham. Little softer than Danny Barrett in terms of like his demeanor and approach, but
he's the Hallmark Channel representative. Danny Barrett's going on Barstool.
Yeah. Danny Barrett's Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Connor's Ryan Reynolds.
Sure.
We've got to tap all markets, though.
Or Joey Lawrence. I think he does a lot of Hallmark movies now. He could be Joey Lawrence.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know who really? Okay.
I'm the pop culture guy too. Give me a character and I might know who it is.
Whoa, Joey from the
Full House?
No, that's not Full House. But it was like three brothers, and it was the Lawrence brothers. I don't remember the name of the show, but that was his tagline. Whoa, he might have been. It could have been a spinoff. Who knows? The 90s.
Was it not like Owen Wilson? Wow.
Yeah.
That's next one. All right, JP. Sorry.
Yeah.
Who's your most marketable player?
Give us a little bit more volume.
There you go. Is
Green is 4.
Is that better? Okay.
All right. JP, who's your most marketable player in MLR?
It's a tough question. I like guys like Lerone White.
Oh yeah,
coming in. You know, they've got that moment that that one run in a game, the barnstorming run that gets used across all social platforms.
Intercept Toronto. Yeah.
And big personalities to come along with it. Like, I've enjoyed watching this show, the series with the Gilgronis. I think it's been good to just get a little bit of an insight. And I like some of the players talking about themselves. I mean, it's good stuff. But guys like that, those are the guys that we need coming up and really pushing through. Not just the flashy guys that stand on the outside and the flashy boots and the pretty faces. I want some of the engine room workers.
Danny Barrett's one.
I think Calvin Gentry in Dallas would be another one. I mean, the dude's,
story.
I mean, he's been, if you've seen the power of rugby and with the Memphis boys and Memphis Intercity Rugby and all the stuff he's done there, he's a great charismatic guy. But I think what we need is more investment in the storytelling to that exact point. Like, save a little bit of money on some visas, spend it on the storytelling. Let's get every team doing what the Gilgronis to do on some measure of the spectrum, and let's find out who the stories are.
Yeah. I like it. I love it, in fact. All right, moving on. We're going to have Pat's piggy bank because eventually Pat wants to have an MLR team here in Kansas City.
That's right.
So we are starting a fund.
Yep.
And it's going to revolve around our weekly picks for the games.
Yep.
And we're going really early here. Like, we are recording, no rosters in hand. We're going blind squirrel into this one. All right, let's see if we can find a nut. If not, is it just the losing or the two losers have to put $1 into the piggy bank until we get that team in Kansas City?
I'd say two losers. I mean, we got to get the team. We're going to get there twice as fast if we have two losers putting in $1.
That's true. All right, JP, February 5th, 2022 season kicks off. We're going to handle 2 games apiece for a bit more of a dive in it, who we're watching, but then we make our picks as well. And we'll keep these tracked every week.
First game, we're going to go Old Glory taking on Rugby ATL. So for me, looking at this game, let's just pull out 2 players. I'm going to highlight Jason Dahm. I mean, he was a player that was unlucky last year not to make the US Eagle team. He's got a real point of contention. He wants to stick his hand up, and he wants to be in contention. I thought he was playing some of the better rugby of any of the loose forwards last season towards the closing stretches of Major League Rugby.
Yeah, great ball carrier.
Really good ball carrier.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Then you got him matched up against the incumbent, so Jamison Fa'anana Schultz, obviously Eagle back rower, another good player. I think it's just an interesting game, this one, for me. You've got ATL. There's been a lot of changes at ATL recently, obviously with the departure of Scott Lawrence, and this is something I'm going to pose to you guys. So it's no hidden secret that Scott Lawrence was a real systems man. He was quite hard to play under, quite a tough guy. Then you've got a guy named Stephen Brett who's come in now. Stephen Brett is kind of taking in the interim position as head coach. A little bit looser of a player, a little bit more attacking mindset. We saw their game plan last year was a lot of kicking and defense.
Yeah.
Are we going to see a little bit of is it going to relax a little bit? And will that be to their benefit, knowing how their roster is made up right now?
Yeah, that's interesting. Who you got in that game, Pat?
Look, I'm going to take DC just for continuity's sake. ATL, I think Stephen Brett was actually Scott Lawrence is considered the preeminent coach in American rugby, but I think Stephen Brett actually probably had a pretty big influence on that team and has an opportunity to have a pretty big influence on the team. I think a large part of the coaching staff stays together, but for continuity's sake, I'm going to go with DC. I just think that ATL is reeling. There's a lot of change there, and you walk into work and you don't know who your boss is, and you're finding out who your new bosses are and what the expectations are. I don't like the lack of settlement.
What about you?
I will say the motivation of losing your owner will get them early, motivated. It'll fire them up and galvanize them. But I agree with Pat. I think there's cracks in the foundation there. That's Scott's team. Like, there's no doubt about it. He, as a GM, as a head coach, that's Scott's team. Those are his players. There's a whole new ownership, and there'll be new general managers and all that sort of stuff come in. And now Stephen Brett's already there, and that's some consistency. But those aren't his players. They don't know how to play his style, even though he had his fingerprints on it. I think they'll get the win against Old Glory. I just haven't been, blown away with who Old Glory have signed this year, and they've lost some talent. Jason Robinson in particular not coming back, Mungo Mason not coming back, Callum Gibbons not coming back. Like, the things that made them unique and dominant when they were at that run just aren't there. So I'll go Atlanta. Emotional game. Is it in Atlanta?
It is.
Have to be in Atlanta, surely.
Yep, it's in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'll go ATL. ATL at home.
I'm still ATL. You say there's cracks in the foundation. I said they built another story on the foundation. There's just too much continuity within their team. They did lose a few players. Like, I think up front, losing Wingluski to Rooney, that's a big loss for them. But you got guys like Monson. They're very physical. I think they're going to be there or thereabouts, and I've got them easy in the first game.
Yeah, there you go. Next one, JP.
All right, the next game we've got the first game that we're going to see the Dallas Jackals in Major League Rugby taking on the Austin Gilgronis. And so for me, I've got Julian Dominguez, probably the biggest off-season transfer, one of the biggest off-season transfers. Who did we talk about last year as the biggest off-season signing?
Duplessis for me was huge.
And wasn't that was a bit of a fizz on our part, wasn't it?
Who, Duplessis? Oh, yeah, missing out for sure. But was Teo, was it last year his first year in Utah as well?
That was a big one too, yeah.
Cruze was probably one of the best ones.
Yeah, LA had him too.
Yeah, they had him too, and they got rid of him. But yeah, for me, I think he's a really strong ball carrier, and then you just put him on the outside. It's not that they were lacking on the outside last year. I just think adding a player like that who can be dynamic and can insert himself wherever on the field, he's going to find a lot of opportunities because he's just got too much experience on the inside. And then on the other side, for me, you're going to look at, you've got Denison, who I think is a really good scrum half, and he's going to be there. So you look at a new franchise and you look at your 9-10, but Adrian Kalsa, I think when we saw him in the pivot role in a lot of games, he's a smart player. You watch him at field level. He knows how to direct traffic. And when you're just starting out, and this team's going to be trying to find their feet, because they haven't had these players, although they've had Major League Rugby experience elsewhere, they haven't played together. They haven't played together in a system like the Jackals. They don't exactly have a head coach right now. It's going to come down to how that 9 and 10 manage that game early on that will dictate whether they can stay competitive.
That was a lot of words for what's going to be an ass kicking. The Gilgronis are going to hand it to the Jackals. They're one of the teams that is their salary cap isn't there. They're going to be freaking
salary
loaded.
Cap sombrero.
They've got that's right. The salary cap sombrero, and they've got a ton of talent. The Dallas Jackals do not have a head coach. I don't think you announced that you didn't get your head coach with visa issues 3 weeks before the season if it's not a surprise. And frankly, look at their roster, and I'm not sure they're going to win a game, and they're definitely not going to win this. If they do, boy, you guys pick the punishment, and I'll just sit here and take it.
Well, I'll be doing it right along with you because I was going to say my hot take, Dallas will not win a game this year. So unless they run into something.
It's about as hot as the weather outside in Kansas City.
It's a longer season. They're going to win a game.
Austin didn't a few years ago, so
they're going to win a game.
The Lions,
they will.
The Browns, the NFL haven't won games for all season. I don't know. I'll go Austin by plenty. Dominguez to score plenty. Mark O'Keefe will have a big game for them as well.
You think he's going to find his way on the field?
Yeah. You don't sign Cowboy unless you're going to put him out there. He'll play. He'll play. Next one up.
I'll follow suit with my pick as well.
Oh, sorry. How rude of me. Who do you think? Austin.
Well, yeah,
all
of
three.
Course. Yeah, exactly.
I thought you were just feeling bad for the Jackals.
All right. So the next game, you got what? LA and Houston?
Yep. This is on me. All right. My battle here is going to be the ageless wonder, Matt Giteau. And the answer is he's coming back. I think deep down after the final, he was non-committal, which is usually a sign that they're going to come back. When you know, you know. Matai Leota is going to be the battle, that monster. Wherever he is in the centers, if I'm Heineke Meyer and Human Pote, I'm just saying, your job is to run at him and make him wish he retired. So that's going to be the test. Can Matt Giteau, in his first game back, absolute legend, first round Hall of Famer, guaranteed. Can he hold up, though, is he going to be 40 this season?
No. He's old.
Yeah. Against a young
could you
buck
still
like
be
that.
out there? I've seen you work out. Obviously not. That's a rhetorical question.
No.
But
You're south of 40. You've been retired for half a decade.
I know, because I still couldn't do it. I just gave up.
60-year-old knees on a 28-year-old body.
But you talk about leader. Talk about on the other side, Lesage.
Is he going to start?
How could he not?
DeMonte Noble.
Yeah, is he
the
going to start?
Guiltinis, they can't find any Americans or any North American players. So they just go poach the best ones from all the other teams that are maybe disgruntled and bring them to LA.
I mean, that's huge. You talk about someone that has had to carry a team, now fitting into a team, being able to focus on his role. Does he end up one of the best midfielders or the premier 12, 13 in the competition this year?
I think depending on the foreigners on the game day roster, it's Meeks and Chambers starting at 12, 13.
You think he's on the bench?
I hope he's on the bench for his sake.
You don't think Meeks is playing 7? He's going to hate us for saying that.
Poitevin.
Yeah. Well, and Hummus is?
On the bench.
On the bench.
Cottrell and 6.
That's a lot of talent just sapped out of other teams, just sitting in the treasure chest.
Yeah,
but you saw the need for it last year.
Those domestic guys, if they have to rotate them, they don't have to worry about resting a bunch of guys. You can bring Lesage in, rest Chambers, or you can bring Lesage in, rest Meeks. You don't have that issue where I think late last year, then DC was kind of like, well, I got to rest some of my guys here running into the finals, but I don't have anyone.
Yeah, 13 players before one of the games.
Yeah.
I think it was San Diego. He had 13 changes to his match day roster within 24 hours of kickoff.
Juggling away. So,
then you had players that came in and stood up like Channel. So I think this
will be a good game.
Yeah,
I would not miss it. I think it's potentially game of the round, but I'll say LA will get it done here.
I'll pick LA too. Look, the Sabercats, I think that there's a brand new vibe around the team. I was down there a couple of weeks ago. Poite Human, I mean, I'm impressed by him, but last I've heard, they've got like 9 South Africans who still haven't landed. So they're going to have continuity issues early on. So for that reason, and the Guiltinis being just stacked, to the gills, I'm going to take them as well.
Stacked to the gills.
I like it.
Yeah, very good. Very good. There you go. I'm going to follow suit. Or should I be following suit? Because I don't want to bet against him because I want a team in Kansas City. So I guess I can fall in line again. Yep, I'll do it. Guiltinis.
Okay, next one.
Next game. What do we got next?
New England at New Orleans. The Holden Younger Bowl.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We'll see. We got John Poland. So you think Youngert's going to be on the bench? He's going to be your backup 9?
Yeah, I think he's your backup 9.
Here's my players to watch. Bodine Walker. I think he'll be playing 10. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. It's going to be Bodine Walker going up against JP Duplessis, the former San Diego Legion South African stalwart who's a defensive monster. And I think here's my issue. I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I thought that New England, great team. I was actually pretty big on them last year making their run. They just lacked some sort of circuit breaker player. And usually you rely on your 10 for your creativity. I felt Harrison Boyle just underperformed massively last year in terms of his ability to control not only set piece, but phase play in terms of creative play, restructuring. He was poor on transitions. His kicking game was subpar, in my opinion, as well. So now you have to move Bodine to 10 to create that kind of player because you've got Wilson on the wings. You've got Dougie Fife potentially now at fullback, who's probably your best attacking weapon. You've picked up Balakana as well from Houston, one of the great finishers, like leading meters gained last year playing for Houston. Imagine what he's going to do with but if he has a 10 in there that can't get in the ball in good positions, what's the use of having a Balakana?
I think it'll just be a signal of their intent. Yeah. So last year we knew under Matto, he was really big on kicking. At practice, they did a lot of kicking. They tried to have this really elaborate kicking game, but Boyle wasn't the guy to really execute it. He's a good long kicker, but attacking wise, you saw when Walker got in there in a few games and he was able to execute that because he's a dual threat with the ball. Mm-hmm. I think once you do that, you put a dual threat in, it settles down the defense a little bit. Having that attacking kick slows the defensive line down because they were just rushing them pretty heavily and taking away their game. So I think you're right. We'll probably see him there. But we'll see him against Nola, and we look at Nola and we look at the changes that they've had. They've obviously had a coaching staff change. But one thing about Nola that's really interesting is if you look back, look at the amount of domestic players in their forward pack and look at the quality of play that they've been able to generate from that domestic pack. There's a lot of continuity there, and I think we're going to see Nola, there may have been a direction change at the top, but I think the coaching staff that's there, it has very good familiarity with the players, and so do the players with him. They're bringing in a guy like Taylor Howden. He's going to be a player's kind of a coach. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to go. I think we'll see them lift a little bit this year. I think we'll see the Free Jacks lift, but at home, I'm Nola.
I think Noah has a chance to take a step up as well. They've got a lot of continuity in that team, but there are some losses like Kyle Bailey. I don't think that's going to be a small one. Julian Dominguez was the magic man for them when they needed it. So I think that you may actually be a step up in how well drilled and well oiled they are. Kane Thompson probably did a lot of the coaching already. Now taking over as the head coach, I think probably clarify some things. So I think they will be less affected by some of the late changes as some of the other teams. That said, I think it's an evenly matched. I don't think either one of these guys are realistic contenders out of the East. I don't think anybody expects them to be contenders out of the East, I should say. If they do that, they're going to have to be a surprise. This is more of a pick 'em for me, so I'm going to be lazy and take the home team. Plus, I'll be there, so they might be angrier and you don't want to piss off. Like, they have gators down there. They could just feed you to them.
They do. But it'll be cold, and know how the gators sleep in February. So fingers crossed for a safe
So I can
trip.
do my skinny dipping right in the bayou. That's totally fine.
Jump right in.
All right.
The scary thing is I don't think you'll be alone if you jump in naked into that river there at New Orleans off Bourbon Street. So home field advantage big, road trip tough early in the season. For that reason, I'll go New England because why not? Because I want to contribute to the fund as well. So
New England did not do good on the road last year. One of the best home teams in Major League Rugby, though.
Correct. And they'll change that.
Yep.
I'm imagining Paula Balacana getting on at, was it Logan Airport in Boston there, and he's wearing every piece of clothing he owns, like the guy from Cool Runnings getting off the plane in Calgary for the Olympics. That's probably what it'll be. They'll still be frozen by the time they get to New Orleans.
Oh yeah, he's a good player. He's a good pickup. All right, JP.
Next game, we got Utah and San Diego. I think this is game of the round for me.
100%. This is a big potential matchup, playoff matchup right here, playoff preview. If we all think that the Guillotiners are the team to repeat, these guys could be arguing and fighting for home field advantage in that first round of the playoffs in the West. San Diego Legion expected to do better last year than they did. They've brought back some firepower. They went ahead and signed their big oversized signing from 2 years ago in Mananu and the light guy from last year in Chris Robshaw, and they bring in Will Hooley and Joe Peterson's back. The guy for me to watch is Will Hooley in that fullback battle against Mikey Teo for the Utah Warriors. Both Eagles could be battling for the 15 jersey. Many storylines here, but that's one of the ones I'm watching.
Yeah, and two different fullbacks, aren't they? Like Mike Teo, one of the great attacking fullbacks, defensively, still some work to do on his game. Will Hurley's a tactical fullback. He's a controlling puppet master at the back there. If the game follows a structured suit, which if it's wide open, Mike Teo, game on. If it's a structured game and kicking and everything that you'd probably expect from a sloppy first round performance, I think Will Hurley takes the money in this one. That's why I'm going to go San Diego on this one.
I'm going to go San Diego as well. I think it's going to take them a little bit to find their feet on attack. Last year, look at the influence of the two scrum halves that they had. They've lost Basker, an Eagle scrum half now, so they're going to have a big hole to fill there, both losing him and the Canadian scrum half.
Yeah, Fraser Hurst.
Yeah, Fraser Hurst.
Who's playing 9 there?
So that's a question. We don't know who's playing 9 yet.
Yeah.
And so then you lose your 10 from last year. And then for me, one of probably the most impactful players in the second row in Major League Rugby was 14 last year. He was a dominant force. So there's going to be a little bit, you can never count them out in a game. We saw that last year. They know how to finish, but can they overcome this to find their identity knowing that their playmakers are out?
100%. I think it's going to be an exciting matchup. We've got another one, though. This is
Who'd you pick?
Who did I pick?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I didn't pick on that one, did he? I'm going to take San Diego. I think they're improved. I think they have a lot to prove.
Okay. Just want to get it clear on the record.
Yeah, we need it on the record.
Yeah.
Point taken. Got to take my points. Seattle and Toronto fighting for the heart of Canada. We've got the British Columbia team. Seattle's a suburb of
Pacific
Vancouver.
Northwest.
It counts. So we've got. I think the matchup is going to be in the forward pack. Of course, Rickard Hadding is the man. A little long on the tooth for the Seattle Seawolves, newly capped, but still their heart and soul in the back row against Kyle Bailey returning up north, going from New Orleans to Toronto. Kyle the Brow Bailey, I think that's going to be a big one there in the engine room. So I think Seattle's really improved. They got Martin Yosefo. I can't wait to watch him get on the field for the first time as well. But Alan Clark, they were much better at the end of that last season. I think they've got some investment, and it's a proud club. The Seawolves did not enjoy losing last year, and hopefully they can get no COVID restrictions, get the power of Starfire Sports and those pack stands back. I'm going to take the Seawolves in this one.
Yeah, 2019, they play one of the classic matches in that semi-final up there at Starfire. How quickly things changed after COVID. Toronto in Atlanta fell off the cliff last year, and Seattle just got old quickly, which professional sports, it happens. I think this is a really tough match to pick. I'm leaning towards Toronto because there's still some questions out of Seattle that need to be answered. Like, have they improved enough? I'm really excited to watch Lepetti and Footy play together, though. Yeah. Mate, Lepetti could be the biggest thing to come out of American rugby since Samu Manoa.
Wow.
Like, I'm going to just, there's your hot take, throwing it up there.
He's only here this season. He's gone.
I think he'll have a big contract. Yeah, whether it's super.
Yeah. He's going to pull a CK.
Yeah, he's going to Europe.
Yeah, he'll go. I hope he does. And this sounds bad. I hope he doesn't go to France. I haven't seen an American player go over there and really, probably outside of Scott Lavala,
there hasn't been a foreign player go to France and actually do it.
And come back a better player for being over there. So
that's interesting.
So you got
checkbook looks better going over there, but outside that, I'll go Toronto. I think just the continuity. Pete Smith takes over as head coach. I really like
former
Smith.
Seattle Seawolf Pete Smith.
Yeah.
Former kicker at the University of Central Missouri. Go Mules, my alma mater as well.
Mules. Kicking like a mule. I love it.
There you go.
Great dude as well. And you want him to do well. Like guys like that, he's not like the rah-rah kind of head coach. You just want you want to get behind those kind of guys. So I think Toronto will squeak one out here. But both these teams, for Toronto, obviously will trend up this year being at home. But I think Seattle will trend up as well in the West.
I'm going to go Seattle.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of key pieces that the Arrows lost last season. There's a lot of strength, obviously, in their side, and they have a lot of continuity because of how the high performance pathway works up there and with the pride. But I think Seattle, they've got you're right. They've got some dynamic midfielders. They started to trend in the right direction towards the end of last season. For me, it's Seattle at home, but no one's going against the Arrows at home in the first game. Who are they even playing at home? First game.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Arrow's first home game is against LA week 2, but it's in British Columbia.
Oh, even more reason. Who plays well in British Columbia?
British Columbians. I don't know.
Fur trappers? I don't. Yeah.
It's not an easy place to travel to, Canada.
Hot take, James Patterson. Thanks a lot. You literally just get on a plane.
It's probably a shorter flight for the Giltinis.
Yeah. What do you mean it's not an easy place to travel to? It's like a third world country or something. It's Canada.
An easy place to play in when you're traveling.
Gotcha.
Everyone knows getting into Canada is like getting out of Afghanistan. It's virtually 1-to-1.
Well, back with the Eagles, it was such a hostile environment to play in, and they always make it like they're hospitable, but they make it hard for you. And they're playing at home after what? 800 days now?
Yeah, but they've never played in BC. But I get your point. Look,
it's
I totally get your point. It's at home. It's on Canadian soil. Yeah.
There's not a lot of love lost between British Columbia and Toronto, like at all.
Yeah.
So don't think it's going to be like, oh, yay, our team's back. They're not going to be home till they get to Toronto.
I think this is the battle.
They're making more Seattle fans than Toronto fans.
It's a battle for BC. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, realistically, because there are more UBC Thunderbirds who have caps for the Seawolves, I'd bet, than there are for the Arrows through the year.
100%. I agree with that. Yeah. So it could be some Giltini fans converting week 2.
Maybe.
All right. Who are you picking in that game? You said Seattle. I'll go Toronto.
I've got Seattle.
Seattle as well. There you have it. Picks are locked in for week 1.
The good news is we'll have at least 6 times. We'll have $12 in the KCMLR fund.
What's $1 a game?
Yeah,
We're gonna have.
How many dollars does it take to have a Major League Rugby team?
How many weeks are there in the season? We'll be there by the end.
Yeah, especially by James.
Okay, if anyone would like to chip into his piggyback fund for the Kansas City, what are they called?
We don't know. TBD. Don't.
TBD. Yeah.
Okay. You got to ask the market.
If you put in enough money, you can name them.
There you go.
Yep.
Invitation.
Find Pat on Twitter, #Pat's Piggy Bank, and tell us what your donation is. We'll put it up below there on the screen as your donations come in. It'll be our own live aid.
The largest donation gets their name up here each week, and then if it gets superseded, we'll just
and we accept NFTs and Bitcoin as payment as well. So just
not at the moment. Not at the moment.
We don't want to do that.
They're
right
diving.
Now.
Just no. Bitcoin over 50, we'll take it, but not at 30 something. It's trash.
I'll take furs, buckskins, anything.
All the ads I see, it's silver is what you want. It's going to outperform the market, according to all the news stations I've been watching. So, all right, we've gone off tangent again. Anything? Last thoughts, Pat? Last words?
This show sucks. Are we going to do a second one? I think we should scrap it.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. Let us know what you think. Should it continue? Is the point took, or should we continue with the point taking?
On a serious note, though, we are going to come at you live. Okay, so unedited, live. You can join in on social media. You can sledge us as much as possible. You can throw questions. We're going to take questions from fans. We want to get to the bottom of things. We want to uncover some of the, the difficult topics to talk about when it comes to Major League Rugby. So everybody deep in that Reddit forum, come find a voice, because the point will be taken here.
They want to cancel Pat Clifton by going live. So,
any
great.
questions? Nothing's off. You'll answer anything.
Dan will answer anything.
James will read anything that's on the teleprompter.
Yeah. Literally anything. Not very well by there.
Good work, guys. Strong.
Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah,
really good.
Especially our segues were really good.
Yeah, all right. Thanks to Ryan Ginty working hard behind the scenes for us, Pat Clifton, James Patterson, Dan Power. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next time.